Thank you. You're all wonderful. My father was an immigrant. He came from overseas. He came here, 8 kids, and I always remember sitting around the table, penny for college, penny for food. And, he wanted to make sure everyone went to college. And so I wanted today to talk about something specific, though. 2 aspects of it here. And I chose the ideal place here because this association is trying to enhance home ownership within this neighborhood by trying to attract those of higher income as middle income, because this is a low income area that helps to regentrify this place. And so I thought this is an ideal place to talk about 2 aspects of the American dream of how to restore it. And one of them is, how can we better attain home ownership? And the second one that I'll follow up with is, how about rising wages? Not just the minimum wage, but all wages. And those 2 are inextricably, they are linked. So that very first one, home ownership is part of the American dream. 75% of Americans, when they say, tell me something that's part of the American dream, identify home ownership as a significant part of that. The problem is, this last recession is the very first recession that we were not led out of in America's history by the housing industry. It was the cause of our collapse. All those derivatives where we bundled bad mortgages together, and then Wall Street traded them as though they were in the back room of a gambling joint. And all of a sudden, we had that recession. So this is the first time that housing has not led us out of it. Proof of that is still 15% of all mortgages across this nation of ours are underwater, where the value of the house is actually less than the value of the mortgage. If a person has to leave that asset to sell to try to go somewhere else to job, they can't without a devastating loss. And so that's a significant part of it. But here's also why we are at, in the last 20 years, an historic low from 20 years ago, in the last 2 decades of home ownership. First, young adults, those who are graduating from college, and up until 35, they used to be 43% of all first-time buyers. They've dropped 6%. Why? They're graduating, 1/3 of them are living at home with their parents, tough to find a job, but even more than that, they're burdened with debt. The average student debt is $29,500. So they're not about to step out, as they used to after a few years as young adults, and buy that first home. Second, first-time buyers as a whole is usually 50% of all first-time buyers. That's dropped down to about 35%. So as you're trying to attract people in to buy homes, your demand from people is so much lower because of these problems that we have.